Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is...
Brian! Hi, David. How you doing there, big guy?
Doing good, little guy.
I'm the little guy. I'm a midget. I'm shrinking. I'm turning into a dwarf.
You're turning into a dwarf, yes. As you should be.
What? What does that have to do with it?
You're the one who
As
brought it up.
expected, you are shrinking.
As expected, yeah.
Oh.
That's just how it is. But welcome everyone to the show. We didn't know what we were talking about this week until very close to the wire, and
I mean, it wasn't that close to the wire.
I mean,
we let it simmer for a week, and then it was like maybe a week and 2 days. It was fine.
No, I think we didn't pick this movie out till like 3 days ago.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I've known about this movie my whole life. My whole life has been leading up to this moment.
Leading up to this moment. Just because this is movie news and not video game news, I did forget to bring this up pre-show. But did you see the Borderlands trailer?
Oh yeah, I did see the Borderlands trailer.
That was a trailer.
It was. It feels like they're trying to make Guardians of the Galaxy so bad. Like they want another Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't. It looks like a train wreck. The casting's weird. There's a lot of things wrong with it. I don't know how. I don't know. It looks like a train wreck. I'm not a fan of Jack Black being Claptrap, and I'm not a fan of Kevin Hart as Roland. The other ones, they're not great either. But those are the two that I don't like at all. Because Kevin Hart is not like Roland
at all,
and they already have the voice for Claptrap. He's not like a real character. Just bring the guy that does the voice for Claptrap in. I like Jack Black, but I also like the voice of Claptrap.
I agree. I like Jack Black a lot. I thought he was great as Bowser. I love Tenacious D. Got some really good songs, some pretty funny songs. He's a good actor, but like Claptrap was already just a voice. Like, why get a big name for? I want Claptrap to sound like.
Got to bring in the audience, man. We got to bring in the audience.
Yes, but the trailer just looked absolutely surreal. Like, and
it looks like it's fake. It doesn't look like it's real at all. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It does. It looks like a weird fever dream.
Yeah, it feels like we just took like acid and just came up with a movie trailer idea.
Like,
I feel like they've been talking about this movie for like 15 years.
They've been talking about this movie for a long time. Like, I remember talking to you about it like
probably 10 years ago at this point. Yeah,
at least 3 years ago. I remember us talking about it, and then it's like it just all this time, and the movie doesn't even look like a real movie. It looks.
It is a real movie.
You know what it looks like? It looks like when IGN put out that Legend of Zelda live action trailer for Legend of Zelda.
Boy, is this a deep cut. Boy, is this a deep cut. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you never saw that? Oh man, that was like a forever ago. But like, it looks just so bizarre. I don't know what it is to it. And Borderlands is weird by default, but this was weird in a completely different vibe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just absolutely bizarre.
I can't imagine anybody's gonna go see this besides people who's played Borderlands. I feel like anybody, even though it has big actors, I feel like anybody who watches this movie or trailer or movie or whatever, they're just like, that's just what their response is gonna be.
Yeah,
they don't have words.
I do want to watch it just to talk about it on the podcast. But if we weren't doing the show together, I don't think I would go see it like on purpose. You know what I mean?
No, because I would see it regardless.
Oh, you would see it regardless?
Yeah, I mean, Borderlands 1 was good, Borderlands 2 was really good, and then Borderlands 3 and everything after it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
my take.
That's exactly
actually Borderlands pre-sequel, then everything sucks. Borderlands pre-sequel is not good, and then everything continues. Actually, they've only had one really good game and one like good game. Well, the rest of them suck.
Well, the way I look at Borderlands is like Borderlands 1 is
it's like fine, it's good.
It's
okay.
Like it's like a tech demo, basically, for the idea. And then Borderlands 2 basically has its own story, and then it refleshes out the story in Borderlands 1 because Borderlands 1 barely had one. and so that
Yeah.
was great. And then everything else sucked. Yeah, so I agree. I mean, I do want to see the movie to talk about it, but man, I'm not hyped about the casting. I love Kate Blanchett. You know, she was fantastic Galadriel.
I'm glad
Um,
you love her.
but I don't know about her as Lilith. I just feel like I feel like if because it's a video game movie, they're gonna want to make a sequel if it makes money, because that's what studios
Oh yeah.
do. When something makes money, they want sequel. But getting Kate, I don't think I just don't believe, unless she's just like that hard up for a paycheck. I don't see her like wanting to come back for a sequel, unless they've already
I
signed
mean,
her.
she was brought on board for this years ago. This wasn't like this wasn't brand new casting information. This was we've known about that for a long time.
I know, but it's just so bizarre that that she would want to do an action hero role. It's bizarre. And then,
It is
and
what
I
it is.
agree, Kevin Hart is nothing like Roland. He's too short, and Roland was never like
Yeah.
funny.
No, Roland's like a serious like soldier guy, and Kevin Hart's a little laughy guy.
The Rock would have been better casting, because The Rock can do the I don't know what's going on here as like the straight man. Like, things funny happen
Yeah.
to him, but like Kevin Hart's just gonna like ham everything up, and that's not role. The Rock would have been a much better casting, I think.
I don't want either one of those, but I understand what you mean.
Or
But speaking of video games movie, we got to talk about why we're here, David.
we're
Why are we
here.
here? We're here to talk about Gran Turismo.
Yes,
David,
that's our movie for the
what
week.
what did you think of Gran Turismo? Because actually, you know what? I'm gonna go first.
Go it,
David, I liked this movie.
I liked this movie a lot too. I'm gonna,
Wait, really?
yeah,
You agree with me?
I agree with.
Oh, good.
I liked
Give me
this
a rating.
movie.
Give me that rating.
Give me that rating. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. This was an enjoyable
Whoa!
movie through and through. I cannot believe this movie is a video game movie, and secondly, that came out in the year 2023. I think
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think I loved Oppenheimer. I really enjoyed Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer was I guess this is sort of a biopic too. But like this, I don't know. This movie was entertaining me all throughout. Oppenheimer was kind of stop and go. It slowed down, then it picked up, slowed down, and picked up.
Yeah, it was a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, this movie was genuinely entertaining pretty much the entire way through. I really enjoyed this film. What's your rating?
I'm also gonna give it a 9. I already pre-thought of that number, and I thought for sure, just because given it's a a video game racing car movie, you were gonna give it a low score. So that's why I was telling you to go first. But yeah, it was really good. I don't know. It was interesting to watch. I was like, it was just over 2 hours, and like it felt like it was like 20 minutes. It was, man, the whole thing was just so, it did have some like weird beats with the father just like being the quote unquote antagonist of the movie, being like, you can't do this or whatever. But then like he does do it, and his dad's still not around. He's just like, you're still gonna fail, and he didn't show up till like the last 5 minutes of the movie. He's like, oh my god, I'm so proud of you. I've been there the whole time.
Well,
I've been with you the whole time.
they showed him watching a race at home.
Yeah, but if you had a son who was going to be a professional like racer, you're just gonna sit home. He's traveling around the world, and he's going from race to race, and you're just sitting at home. You'd want to go with him, wouldn't you? I would want to go with my
Well,
son.
yeah, but I mean, he's also like
A
very
multi-millionaire
well. No, just his father probably he's like he used to be a professional footballer, but then he's
or soccer we're Americans, soccer.
well. This is a British. This takes so it's a footballer.
Yeah, football.
He's a professional footballer. So I don't. But I guess he works on the train yard now. He just kind of does like blue collar work. after.
Well, that's what happens a lot of the time when you're like a top level athlete, but you're just not good enough to go pro. You kind of just fall. That's a big depression that hits you. And you kind of just like do whatever you have to get by. And it sounds like that's the kind of guy he is, where it's kind of like he just got a random job that he could do because he doesn't have college or anything.
That's why he probably couldn't go see his son at all the races, and because he couldn't afford it. He's a blue collar train engineer
His son's a
worker.
multimillionaire now, probably. I don't know how much his son makes, but I feel like Nissan could have like, hey, like bring my parents with me if he would have if Jan would have asked. At least that's what I think.
So like, I was just curious. So like, while I was watching this film, I was just like, when did this happen? Because it is based on a true story. Jan, I can't remember how to say his last name, but Jan, this fellow behind me, is who the movie
What?
centers around. He is one of the best Gran Turismo players, and he won a contest to go to GT Academy to learn how to race.
Well,
Um,
the whole point is to prove that race simulators are can transfer into like real life abilities.
real
That's
life
what their
skills,
goal was.
yes.
Yeah, to give
So
validation to video games.
yeah, which I thought was great. I love the story of making video games a valid form of entertainment and a valid thing to do. And there's been studies with video games where like typically you would want to, if you're having surgery, you want your surgeon to be a gamer because gamers tend to have stronger hand-eye coordination at tasks like that.
Sure.
Oh no, I've read studies. I've read studies on
Yeah,
it.
but I've
It's
never like
proven.
read anything. It's like it's that sounds like one of those like clickbait articles where it'd be like, "Are you going to the doctors? You better hope he's a gamer."
Well, no,
But I
surgeons,
understand what you mean.
surgeons,
Yeah,
surgeons specifically,
I understand what you mean.
especially with like some of those robotic surgeries, which are like they're using controller like thing to do surgery. They're using some
Yeah,
of those crazy machines. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's being a gamer is a valuable skill, and it can translate into some times life. Which it's nice that they had a movie come out that kind of like shows that. Um,
yeah. So it was basically just day in day out. Jan, the fella behind you, is playing Gran Turismo, and everybody around him is telling him like, "Oh, you got to get a real life or whatever." And eventually he the Nissan or whatever Gran Turismo people have like an agreement to bring the best and the brightest Gran Turismo players to the professional scene, and that's when the movie really starts. The beginning was a little slow,
hmm.
but then it starts like amping up, and I've never like seen a racing movie where it's like showing like the behind the scenes stuff. Actually, I've never really seen racing movies before. I gotta change that now. I was interested in what was going on because it's like there's a couple crashes and they feel like the tension was there, man. You could cut the tension with a knife with some of these crashes. But when you see like a crash of a racing thing online or whatever, you think, oh yeah, whatever. There's a crash, but it's like they spend like 40 minutes on a crash that happens. It's like, oh man, what's gonna happen? I need to know.
Yeah, this movie was excellent, and there was lots of clever uses of CG, but almost most of the racing scenes, probably minus the accidents, were all um, shot for what I understand from the research I was doing for film for this. They wanted it to look and feel as real as possible, so that's
Well,
pretty
it
incredible.
feels.
Um,
And the cars they would keep using were they were using the same car. I don't know what kind of car it was for the whole movie. And then the final shot or the final race they change it to like a real race car. So I don't understand how racing works that way, but
well, the
maybe
Nissan team used all the same car for pretty much most of the races except for that one. They needed I guess the
you need a souped up car for the last race.
I guess Le Mans needs a different kind of car, maybe one that handles a little more
Are
aggressively.
those real? Do you know if those are real tracks, like real racing
Oh yeah.
tracks in real life? Okay, so they were going from real place to real place. There was a
Well,
lot of little Easter eggs too with like sound effects and stuff. They would have like
the
the like
PlayStation sound
PlayStation
effects.
sounds, but they did that
Yeah,
quite a few times.
they
I
did
noticed
that.
that.
They did that really well. And whenever he's doing his race to enter GT Academy, and like a CG car like builds around him, which was pretty cool. And they kind of did a reverse shot later in the film where the car
Yeah.
comes apart around him. They did some really cool visual stuff in the film, which was a lot of fun. Um, so when do you think this took place?
Uh, 2004.
2011
Oh.
is when he did the GT Academy. That's what like so in the movie he's holding a PlayStation 5 controller, and I'm like, wait, this can't be that recent. This can't be. PlayStation 5 hasn't been out that long. So I went and looked it up. It's 2011. I think that makes it like PlayStation 3 era.
Yeah, on there, PS3, PS4 era. So what it I guess for this movie then, it's kinda like, it seems like it's not as because it is based on a true story, but it's not as untrue as, like, Cocaine Bear, but it's not as real as, like, a documentary type of thing. It falls somewhere in the middle where some things are, like, dramatized and stuff.
Yes. So the character of Jack didn't exist. So like that, but I mean, he was there to make like this
Which one's
bonding.
Jack?
The stranger guy.
Oh, the Stranger Things guy. He did a great job. He was my favorite character in this. Before we even watched the movie, I told you I knew he was in. I was like, that guy must be doing a good job because everything he's in, that guy does a good job.
Yeah,
He did a good job in this too.
he's a fantastic actor, and we also had Randall Thor from The Wheel of Time
He wasn't, yeah, but he was kind of
as the gold race car driving douchebag guy.
yeah. And Legolas, Orlando Bloom
Yeah, we
was
had
also in
Legolas
it. I
as
think the two
Danny.
best performances was Stranger Things guy and Orlando Bloom. I
Oh,
think those were the two best performances for me.
I thought the guy who played Jan did a good job. I mean, he's young and he pulled off being like inexperienced being in front of the camera, even though he's an actor and acting on camera.
He had to
I thought
pretend.
well, because Orlando Bloom kind of hated him because like he just like was so awkward in front of the camera. So he was good at doing that. I
Yeah.
thought something cool. I mean, they tell you at the end of the film, but the real Jan is actor actor Jan's real life stunt double for all the races. So basically, he like redid his races for the film.
He redid them.
It's like, yeah, I did this race. I'll do it again.
Yeah, it is cool. It made me want to be like a race car. It's the IGN reveal. It really makes you feel like a race car driver.
Well,
It was good.
I liked how in the movie where like when he's at the GT Academy and he's racing and he got Jack in the car with him and he slams into the wall and he's like, oh, my tires were glazed, and he's like, how would you know that? Like you were scared.
What does that even mean?
uh I
Do we know? Is that a is that a
I'm
gaming term or is that a racing
I
term?
think that is an actual racing term because Gran Turismo is pretty accurate from what I understand. I mean, I played one back in the PS2 era. I wish I liked them better, but I just don't like cars and racing that much. But even back then, like if your car would get dirty over time, and like it would have some performance sets if you didn't like get it cleaned. Like so, as a
It was just
simulation,
like you got dirt on your brakes or something, I guess. I don't know.
like I
I have
get
no idea. I have no idea what every time they said it like 3 times that it was glazed and I kept thinking a glazed donut and I don't know. Beyond that, I didn't know what it meant.
yeah, it's just it's an interesting term. Yeah, I was thinking glazed donut too, but I'm like, I guess it's just the
It's the same
so
word.
yeah, it's like they've got a layer of film on them so they don't like break correctly. I don't know.
And he follows his own line. So in the Gran Turismo games, they have like a line you follow that like tells you, I guess, not the fastest path because Jan has his own path that he takes and he goes faster than the recommended line. I don't know
Well,
how that works either, but
I think the recommended line is just like less track. Like if you're using less track, you're gonna get to the end faster.
yeah,
But I guess just with he figured out his own lines based on like aerodynamics and just trying to get past people.
sure, we can go with that. Why would you not show like if you're playing the video game, why would you not show what the like the fastest line is in the video game? wouldn't you want to show that? Or I don't play racing games. I don't know. I feel like you would just show the most optimal path to take. So when he's going off that, I feel like you would just go slower.
But the thing is,
I
if another car is not in the if another car is in the path, you have to make your own way, and that's kind of what he did. That's how he figured out how to get around people by figuring out things. Because his dad was like, "How come you don't follow the path?" And he's like, sometimes I win."
I knew that was gonna be set up. What? So in the towards the beginning of the movie, his dad, who's not been interested at all in what his kid's doing, just walks by his room. And he's like, "Why didn't you follow the line? You don't even know. He didn't even know what like a video game was, and now he's like, "Why aren't you following the line?" I
we
knew
just
that was gonna be a payoff at
hey,
some point later.
hey Brian, we just got raided. My friend Jen, the Klingon Pop Warrior, brought 11 people in for
Hello.
this. So greetings,
We're talking.
everyone.
We're talking about Gran Turismo, the greatest racing video game movie that has ever existed.
Probably the only racing video game movie to exist currently, I think.
Does Cars count? No, Cars is a movie.
It's a
Then it
movie
gets
that
turned into a
spawned
video
video
game.
games. Yes.
Okay, I don't think there are any. Well, I'm sure there's Mario, Mario, Mario count. There's Mario Kart in Mario movie.
Maybe. That
Woo!
could be.
Racing game done. Drop the hammer or
Boom.
microphone or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
So,
Kaylee just messaged me because she was talking about glazed brakes. When temps exceed brake pad limits, they glaze over and become glassy, so there's no friction to stop.
okay.
So they basically melt. They get too hot, they melt. As they have a glassy film on them, and then they don't brake properly.
That's an actual thing that doesn't. Why don't they make the brakes out of something else? Boy, don't we know a lot about cars?
We know so much about car. We're the yeah. That's why we're not the car podcast.
We're changing to the car podcast.
No, I know
We're gonna
nothing
learn
about
about
cars.
cars here. We're
Absolutely
gonna learn about what
not.
racing cars do, how they work. We're gonna learn what the names of all the cars are, and we're gonna race them. We're gonna remake this movie.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
um,
another point I wanted to bring up because I'm curious what you would do because I think I would have made the same choice Orlando Bloom's character would have made. So when they're going through the GT, what's the race thing when
GT Academy.
the GT Academy, uh, there's another guy that's also very good, but he's like better at everything else except like Jan is a little bit better at racing by like a tenth of a second. Orlando Bloom, when the final race comes, both of them are neck and neck, and at the end, Jan wins by like I don't like the length of a hair or whatever. Now, would you have picked the guy that came in second, or would you have picked Jan? I would have picked the guy in second because overall, I think he was better. As a full package, I think he's better.
I don't know.
Jan is just better at racing, and that's it.
I liked Jack's opinion on it because he's like he won, and like that's the thing. Why would we cheat someone out of the win? And I mean, of course, Orlando Bloom, Danny's character, he just wanted to, have like the someone who's like big for the publicity and
Well, you
whatnot.
want you want the whole package. You don't want one guy that can do one thing and then can't get in front of a camera and can't do anything else. There's more than just the racing part.
I mean,
That was my
how
thought.
many racers are like just fantastic in front of a camera? I don't know. I don't watch a lot of them, but I'm sure not all of them are like the most photogenic and
I guess maybe
you know what I mean.
we have
They're
no
not.
idea if that's true or not. We
They
don't
aren't.
know.
They aren't actors. I mean, like real race car drivers. Most of them, like they're not actors. They're not like I don't
Most
know.
of them aren't actual actors. They're
Yeah,
race car
yeah, they're
drivers.
race car drivers. Why would you need to be like? Let's see. I don't know. I like Jack. He's like he won, so we should pick him.
Well,
Won.
he was the best character. He was the best character. I'm sad
Yeah,
Jack didn't exist. I would like to meet Jack in real life if he was a real guy. But
yeah.
he was a motivate. He was like the father. He was the real father figure.
Just wanna just yeah. He was the surrogate father figure.
Surrogate.
So that wreck really happened, but it happened much years later in Jan's career.
Oh, so the
There's
timeline's messed up? It got
yeah,
hit with the Marvel
well, the
timeline?
timeline's all weirdly compressed. That's why these movies that are based on real things just are never like the best because they kind of like will scramble them up. Where Cocaine Bear, the only thing that happened in real life from that movie was that a bear got cocaine that was dropped from a plane. After that, nothing else
Everything else was made up.
was made up. This movie, like a lot of these things happened. They just didn't happen the same order. Like, he wasn't playing a PlayStation 5 in 2011, and
No. I mean,
yeah,
maybe he had a pre-release of it.
maybe,
We don't know.
probably not.
Probably not.
And the Jack wasn't a real character. So they invented him just so the movie would have like a through line, and it makes sense. You got to you got to storyize things, but this was kind of there to give like, oh, is he going to quit racing drama that wasn't really there because he was already an
Yeah.
established racer. He wasn't the brand new racer, basically having an accident that caused the death. And I
Well, that's like
actually
all based on a true story movies though. It's like at what point it's based on a true story, but at what point do you start taking liberties away from the story to make it more entertaining as a movie?
and from the research I did, Jan, the real person, gave approval to use that because I mean that was something that happened in his life, and that thing that happened. So he approved that to be in the film. And I actually
Yeah.
looked up. There's actual footage of the actual thing happening, and it looks remarkably like it did in the movie. Although it's from sort of a front angle instead of the back angle, because in the movie you watch the car just fly up from the back and just
Yeah.
fly
Well, I mean,
straight.
it's a movie. It's going to have more angles than real
Well,
life.
yeah, but the fact that I was able to find the video and like it's from a completely different angle, but the the car was flying like that. It was crazy. Just that a car achieved that
Uh,
kind of lift off.
I mean, they did a good job creating tension in that moment because to me it didn't feel like it was that big. Like when I think of car crashes in racing, it's like I see it happen and it's just like I don't ever assume anybody dies or anything in it, but like when they were like showing the different shots of him like first person inside like the car's like going up and you can't see anything, then they show the outside shot and the car's like pretty much vertical. Then to me that after you see all these different shots and like he's like heavy breathing, he's like then I started. It was oh my gosh, this is like where's this gonna go? And it ends up that it was a pretty bad crash because I think the worst part was because he ended up mostly being fine. It was that he ended up killing somebody. Do you know if that happened in real life? Did he actually kill
Oh,
somebody?
someone did die and injured multiple people. I mean,
Oh, he injured
it's
multiple. I didn't
I
bring up.
mean there were spectators who happened to be in the way. I mean, it was like they said in the film, it's a freak accident. Like cars aren't supposed to fly.
No, they aren't supposed to fly. Yeah, that'd be pretty. That'd probably weigh on me pretty hard. I would want to go to like the
Yeah,
funeral and stuff. That'd be
yeah,
hard. That'd be a bad day. That'd be a bad day for everybody
yeah.
involved.
But in the film, it was used as like a like a big emotional moment, and it was kind of uh, telegraphed a lot whenever he gave Jack the gift from Tokyo, and he's like, "Open it later." Anytime someone says "open it later" in a movie, that's just like something bad's fixing to happen. It's just like how always that it is. Like, and it's not a bad thing. It's just like I just feel like it's become a cliche at this point. Just open it later. Like, oh man, something bad's fixing to happen.
I always think it's funny too, cause like it's a Sony movie, so like all the things they were using were all like Sony products. They bring out like this Sony MP3 player that's
Yeah,
from. Do they? I didn't even know they made. He's like, no, I like to keep it old school. I'm gonna use my Walkman that I
yeah.
have. It's like, what? This is in the 2020s. Why you have a Walkman? You're like, he doesn't even look that old to be like, be so hell bent on using a Walkman, or whatever the heck he was using. It's like I'm gonna stick to my cassette player. I'm 30.
It was a big old orange yellow Walkman.
Yeah, and then they upgraded him to an MP3 player from 2005
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh
that he
man.
got in Japan. So yeah, that's Gran Turismo. I mean, it was good. Like that. It's on Netflix. It's free. Like that's an easy watch for me. Like
Oh,
go watch
100%. If you haven't seen Gran Turismo, even if you don't have an interest in video games, uh,
or Cars.
or cars, it is a genuinely entertaining film. So I would
It
implore.
was more it was more movie than, like, video game movie, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's like a lot of video games movie lean too much into, like, the video game, and then it just starts sucking. This movie didn't do that. It felt more of a movie. There are some, like, gamer terms that they use, like, I think the one of the pit crew, I rewatched it twice, and I think he said you're gonna get pwned. I'm
I
not
think
100% sure on that, but,
he
like, there's
called
a little bit of
he
there's
called
some
him
gamer
noob.
stuff.
Called him noob a
There was
bunch.
noob. There was noob. But yeah, there's some video game sound effects, and there might have been some lingo for gamers in there. I think that's really the only call out they had to video game people specifically, other than Gran Turismo as a video game.
But yeah, I mean it's kind of funny because since it is based on a true story, it's an interesting take for a video game film. So
Yeah,
100% recommend it. I watched it like 1.5 times. Like I started watching it and it was super solid. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this with my wife because she loves cars and worked on cars. I think she'll probably like this film because I mean, like I watched the first hour and it was super solid. And I'm like, oh, this is entertaining. Acting's good. Action's kind of fun.
they're good.
She ended up really liking the movie too. So again, for a video game movie and a movie that came out in 2023,
Good job.
oh, did you even hear about this film before it came out?
No, I didn't know it existed
I
until you told me, and you're like, "Hey, how about this?" I was like, "Okay, that's whatever. Sounds good."
so yeah,
Then I watched.
I knew it existed, but I didn't know it existed before it came out. This movie, I feel like it had zero marketing behind it because
Well, it must have had zero marketing because it's already on Netflix, unless it came straight to Netflix. I don't know.
I don't know how that all transpired, but I don't know. I saw someone review it on YouTube, and I was like, I didn't even know this came out. I watched the video, then I forgot about it, and then Haley found it on Netflix and something for us to talk about. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, it was good. Two thumb up. Two thumb up.
Absolutely
That's why. Two thumb up.
recommend.
Well, that's Gran Turismo. Email David at Synthaholics@yahoo.com.
All right, very good. Thank you all so much for listening in. Thank you, Jen, again for the raid, bringing some people into the room, and hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, signing off.